skies got yellow just like it did before, and we were watching from outside and listening to the radio because our lights were, and so it lightened, and you saw the twister up, one of the twisters up in the air, and I figured a few minutes later that it hit Newbern.
It was desperately in need of something because it took a lot. It's taken my job, it's taken my friends, it's taken people that I've known for 30 years.
We went 10 miles per hour.
Tornado Witness Radio. Stories from those who have witnessed nature's most feared storm. February 5th, 2008. Atkins, Arkansas, Emmy's story.
Can I go ahead and read her story called My Life?
Yes.
By Emmy Cherry?
Thank you.
Okay. Sure. There are probably many things you don't know about me. Would you like to know more about me? My name is Emmy Grace Cherry. My name has Elaine in it because Elaine was my granny's name. I got my middle name from my late great-grandmother on my dad's side. Another special thing about my birthday is my mom turned 33 the day before I was born. I was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Russellville, Arkansas on August 15th, 1997. The most special are my niece and nephew, my parents, my brother, and my grandparents. I love all these people dearly because they've inspired me to follow my dreams. For instance, I failed to do something I set out to do, and my nephew scooted over to me, and I picked him up, and he smiled, so I know my nephew will always cheer me up. My hero is probably my late grandfather, Ed Kaiser. He was always very strong and never complained about having heart problems. He would also help me with homework when Granny was busy. My special interests are astronomy and stargazing. I also love to read. I'll read just about anything. My favorite books are old novels, continuing series, animal and astronomy. My special talents are reading and playing the piano. I have a 13.0 reading level. I have also been playing the piano since 3rd grade. Some of the most memorable things in my life are sad, but others are very fond. Like when my niece was born, my mom pulled me out of school to see her the day she was born. Also, another memorable thing was when we got rammed off the interstate by an 18-wheel truck. My hopes for the future or career are either to be an astronomer or a vet. And if I succeed in becoming a vet, I will open my own veterinary clinic, and in my spare time I will stargaze. All in all, these are some things I wanted you to know about me. Great girl.
Oh, fabulous. What you were just listening to was a story written by Emmy Cherry and read by her aunt, Kelly Kaiser. Emmy, along with her mother and father, died in the tornado that hit Atkins, Arkansas on February 5, 2008. Today on Tornado Witness Radio, you're going to hear about Emmy Cherry. You're going to hear about her through her family that cared so much about her. You're also going to hear about Emmy through the stories that she wrote herself. Emmy Cherry was only 10 years old when she left this earth. What you will learn, however, was that Emmy was a very special child, much older than her years. Thank you very much for listening to Emmy's story. You are and your relation to Emmy?
Okay, my name is Kay Cherry, and I was Emmy's grandmother on her dad's side. And Emmy was a wonderful, wonderful little girl. I can't say enough. I'm sure you'll get tired of talking to me before we're through. But she was wonderful. By the time she was, before she turned 4 years old, she was reading. One day she was laying on a bed in our den, and she hollered, "Nanny, Nanny, I'm reading." And I said, I was listening to her, and I said, yes, I hear you. And she said, no, but I'm really reading. And this was just before she turned 4 years old, and she was reading. By the time she was 2, she had Beauty and the Beast memorized word for word. I couldn't skip a word without her correcting me. And I don't know, she was the greatest thing that ever came into all of our lives. We were ready for her. We had such a big surprise waiting for us. And I often wonder, had she lived, what she would have become.
Emmy, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I thought Emmy had a lot of wit. Elaine was
very, very witty. Once when we were laying in bed, she was going to take a nap, I thought. But she was laying there, and she says, it was probably when she was about 2.5 years old. She says, Nanny, do cow's horns toot? And of course, that I had to laugh when she said that. But that was one of her very unusual things for a child that age to say, because she wanted to know if cow's horns could toot. Got my rubber gloves out, and she would put them on her feet and walk around. She looked so funny with those big rubber gloves, walking like a duck, kind of. And it was just, I don't know, she was just so very special. And she could write stories like nobody I've ever seen at her age. Would you like to hear one of her stories?
Oh, I definitely would. Thank you.
Okay. Well, this one is not one of her stories. It's more about Why Should We Help People in Other Countries by Emmy Cherry. It says, did you ever stop to think about what we have and what we take for granted? Well, people in other countries are very unfortunate and don't have it made like we do. Sometimes they don't get to go to school until they are teenagers. Maybe school isn't fun for us because we take learning and school for granted. But kids on the other side of the world love school because they couldn't go for a while and they wanted an education. I watched a tape about poor children in Africa, and my heart really went out to them because a boy couldn't go to school until he was 7 because his family didn't have the money. There was also a girl named Beatrice who only had one dress, and she had to rip it up the back to make it fit right because that was all she had. Next time I wake up and don't want to go to school or complain about getting new clothes because you have nothing to wear, though you have a ton of outfits, think about the tape. I think about the tape I watched and the kids in it, and maybe you will change your mind and stop taking school and a bunch of clothes for granted. I hope I persuaded you to try to raise money for kids like Beatrice who have nothing when we have everything we need. Clearly, we need to try our hardest to help people all over the world who aren't as fortunate as us. Now, that's from a 10-year-old girl.
10 years old. My goodness.
Yeah. She might not have even been, was she 10 when she wrote this?
I think so.
Yeah. She was 10 when she wrote this. And I don't know. She just brightened all of our lives, and we're going to miss her very much.
Tell me a little bit about that day, the day of the tornado, what had happened, and, you know.
Okay. The storms were coming in, and all afternoon I did something that I don't usually do. When I heard they were coming in, I just started praying, that all of our family and friends and relatives would be safe. And then when the news came on and they said that there was one on the ground and we were watching it, and my husband and I were sitting there, and I said, is that headed for them? Is that headed for Dana and Jimmy's place? And he said, it looks like it. And so they said it was on the ground, and I called Dana, and I told her, I said, Dana, they're saying that there's a tornado on the ground, and it's headed for y'all. I said, y'all go do something, take some cover, do something. And she said, okay, I'm going to go watch. And I'm not sure if she meant watch TV or just watch. But she said, okay, I got to go. I love you. Bye. And I said, I love you too. Bye. And then after, I don't know, it wasn't very long, I started trying to call them. And I couldn't reach them on any of the cell phones, and I couldn't reach them on the land phone either. And so I told my husband, I said, I'm going over there. And he said, right now? And I said, yes, I can't reach them. I said, something's wrong. So we started over, and when we got there, we came up, we could see all the trucks and the flashing lights there, and when we got to top, there's a little hill there, and when we got to the top of that little hill, their house was completely gone. There was nothing there. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's horrible. That's, oh my goodness.
And so we got out, and I saw one of the ladies coming up the road, and I asked her, I said, have you seen the kids? And she said, no. And my husband went to look for them, and I was looking for, I saw the truck. The truck was in a ditch close to the house, and it had a tree stuck through the windshield. And it was all tore up. And then I kept looking for the car, hoping that the car was gone, that they might have gone somewhere, but they hadn't, because I saw the car in a bunch of debris across the road. And so my husband was looking for him, and while he was looking for him, I was talking to this lady, and I asked her, I said, have you seen the kids? Have you seen my kids? And she said, no. And then she kept trying to get me to go back to the car and wait, and I didn't want to go because I wanted to find them. And then my husband, she finally got us, it started raining, and we started walking back to my car, and we got inside the car, and then my husband came up, and I saw him coming, and I got back out, and he said they were all dead. And I couldn't believe that they were all gone and all dead. So then we got back in the car, and I started trying to call, but one of the towers was down, but we couldn't get out. The police, everything was blocked, and so the police tried to help us out. And so when we finally got out, I started trying to call because I had to get hold of her son and see him, and so we could go over there and tell him, because I didn't think he needed to be alone. Mm-hmm. And on our way, I called Elaine and them and told them what had happened, and they had bad weather all the way. I'll let them tell you their story.
Okay.
But I called them, and then we went over to Brent's, that's the grandson, and talked to him, to tell him, but he had already found out, and we were with him. And I guess that's most of all I know. My husband did see them, though. He made sure that they were who they were and that they were gone.
Are you having a service of some kind?
We've already had the funeral, if that's what you're asking me.
Oh, you have? I bet that was nice.
Yes.
Okay.
No, we've already had the funeral and everything. But it's been really hard for all of us. But we are a close family. All of us are. We're close together. Is there anything else that I can tell you?
I really appreciate you talking with us. I know this is painful.
Yes.
Maybe a week later, you had received a photo.
There was a picture in the paper later of Brent and Emmy, and one of their friends came out and showed it to me, and that was about 19 miles this side of the Missouri line, that someone had found a photograph. Brenda Guffey, I believe, had found a photograph of them and had sent it out over the wire in the newspaper, and they sent it to Brent. And the lady that was from Timbo, her name was Kim Morrison. She had found a piece of a puzzle that's about a foot square, and it's like a foam mat, and when you put it together, it makes a big mat for children to lay on, and that was one of her birthday presents from someone.
Oh, my goodness. I guess that one photo of her was found about 100 or 200 miles away with Emmy.
It was found about 120-something miles away, I think. It was 19 miles this side of the Missouri line.
My goodness. We talked to Brenda, and she said that photo, it looked brand new, like the day it had been printed.
Yeah, we found other photos that looked like they were, brand new, like they had just been printed. But the house and everything was gone. There was a hot tub that they had in the garage. That was the only thing that was left that was recognizable of any of the contents in the house. Everything else was gone, and it was kind of tilted on its side.
Oh my goodness! How are you feeling? What kind of things are you having to deal with since all of this?
Well, the loss is greater than you can imagine, because that was our only child, and our only daughter-in-law, and our only granddaughter. So, I mean, that was a great loss to us, and it's something that I know we'll never get over. But through God's help, and through His will, and by the grace of God, I know that things will get better.
I know.
And
go ahead.
Emmy was such a wonderful little girl and such a Christian. You would not believe the things that come from that girl's mind about the kids at school, because she worried so about them.
Boy,
she was amazing. Like I said before, I wonder what she would have become had she not been taken. But we all feel that, or I feel that it is what God did, whatever He did, whatever His purpose was in His plan for all of us. I'm not real happy with His plan, but I know that it's for the greater good.
I guess, losing a child or a grandchild, I mean, this has just got to be the most painful thing there is. And
It is the most painful thing I've ever had to deal with. I mean, I would have went in their place gladly if I could have, so that they would live longer, but that's not possible. I mean, God chooses who He takes home first, and they went first.
My goodness.
We never expected to bury our child and our daughter-in-law and our granddaughter. We never expected it. We always expected for them to bury us,
That's horrible. Okay, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I wish the best for you and your family, and I really appreciate you talking with us, and maybe others can hear this story.
Okay.
Much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Bye.
There are probably many things you don't know about me. Would you like to know more about me? My name is Emmy Grace Cherry. My name has Elaine in it because Elaine was my granny's name. I got my middle name from my late great-grandmother on my dad's side. Another special thing about my birthday is my mom turned 33 the day before I was born. I was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Russellville, Arkansas on August 15th, 1997. The most special are my niece and nephew, my parents, my brother, and my grandparents. I love all these people dearly because they've inspired me to follow my dreams. For instance, I failed to do something I set out to do, and my nephew scooted over to me, and I picked him up, and he smiled, so I know my nephew will always cheer me up. My hero is probably my late grandfather, Ed Kaiser. He was always very strong and never complained about having heart problems. He would also help me with homework when Granny was busy. My special interests are astronomy and stargazing. I also love to read. I'll read just about anything. My favorite books are old novels, continuing series, animal and astronomy. My special talents are reading and playing the piano. I have a 13.0 reading level. I have also been playing the piano since 3rd grade. Some of the most memorable things in my life are sad, but others are very fond. Like when my niece was born, my mom pulled me out of school to see her the day she was born. Also, another memorable thing was when we got rammed off the interstate by an 18-wheel truck. My hopes for the future or career are either to be an astronomer or a vet. And if I succeed in becoming a vet, I will open my own veterinary clinic, and in my spare time I will stargaze. All in all, these are some things I wanted you to know about me. Great girl.